Careful inside my head, Doc. What's happening, YouTube? My name is Immortal Coil, and today we are talking about Dr. Susan Flores and her Psychology of Wolverine. Now, growing up, coming into age, let's say, there were a handful of characters that I gravitated towards. And let's see if we can spot the commonalities among them. We have Josie Wales, John Creasy, Doctor Who, William Wallace, Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Richard B. Riddick, Darth Vader, and the Wolverine. Now, these are all very physical men in peak condition, more or less. But what's really fascinating about them is the psychological aspect. All these guys have done good and bad things at points in their life. And they've all had time to sit back and ponder upon what all that means and whether they want to continue to do it. But they all exist in worlds which more or less force them to do it. Well, in the case of the Psychology of Wolverine, she reached out to me on Instagram. Now, there I run a Wolverine cosplay page. There it is if you give a shit. And at first I thought she was a bot. You know, she sent me this very generic, like, hey, you know, I noticed that you do this and that, so you might like this book. Yeah. And she might as well have been hawking like a set of claws or like an action figure, some rare comic that I've probably already read. So I'm like, alright, I'll play your little game. And I just kind of wanted to suss out her creds. But before long, we were talking about the curse of immortality and post-traumatic stress disorder and fear of intimacy and transient amnesia. And these, by the way, were topics that I brought up because I wanted to see how on top of her game she was. And she was like, yep. And we had like a good long fucking discussion about it. So I was like, all right. And she's like, well, okay, here's a link. Just go ahead and check it out. And if you don't like it, you don't ever have to speak to me again. I was like, okay. And it was a link to her TED Talks. In her TED Talks, she gives a pretty good breakdown of Wolverine for people who aren't as dorky about it as I am. But she also goes into, and this is where I found a lot of common ground, she goes into how the traumatic incidents in her life led to her gravitating towards a character who was hard to kill, didn't want to kill, but when pressed to do so, you better believe it, bub. So, without going to spoilers, Dr. Flores knows her shit. She cites deep cut X-Men, Wolverine, and special guest appearances in the comics. And it's not just Chris Claremont, even though that was like a badass issue. She did her research. She dug through the shit. And I really think it was out of love. I don't really think it was a, hey, how do I make $100,000 on some property that's like popular now. But she also went into the movies, and as a psychologist, she got her peers to do peer-reviewed research on the themes that she was citing. So she's holding him up as an example of, here's how PTSD works, and here's how, the sexual allure of the guy works, and here's why women love him, and here's why guys are intimidated by him but don't think he's a big threat, and here's why he acts this way because of the abuse he endured, but then here he is with the struggle inside about how to be a true man, and why after all that bullshit, once he joined the X-Men, he found family, and even though he kind of like wandered in and out, they were probably his most stable battleground, which is why he hung around there so much. And even then, like the use of a gruff exterior as a defense mechanism. So she touches on all of that. The link to the book is going to be in the description below. I found it on Amazon. That's where I'm going to send you guys. As well as links to Susanna's personal social media. So my name's Immortal Coil. Like, subscribe, ding the bell for notifications. Drop a comment. Let me know what you want to see covered on future editions of Savage Spirituality. And remember, we cannot share who we are truly with another until we have discovered what is inside of ourselves. Because otherwise we're just lying. Nobody likes a liar. Especially me.